Hi everyone, so sorry about that. We just had some technical difficulties with the IT, but I guess that's what we have to face nowadays. But hopefully we should be okay going forward now. I'll just pick up from where I left off. So since becoming managing director of Majors Accounts a couple of years ago, I started a digitalisation strategy within our office with the idea of becoming a paperless office, using the latest technology to provide the best experience for our staff and our clients alike, to get the most out of the information that businesses have. So we do use QuickBooks Online only. We found this to be the best software for us and for our clients. And the way that we work is we have an array of different apps, all featured and linking into QuickBooks. So our clients have an efficient process. We get all the information we need as soon as possible. So we then are able to translate, regurgitate, you could say, this information to our clients to give them some more information on how their business is doing and see where we can make a difference. And the idea with this is to bring us a lot closer to our clients. A lot of people think once you started adding technology into the business, you're unable to, you don't have anyone to speak to. But nowadays, actually, we're having a lot more time to speak to our clients because the softwares are taking away a lot of the mundane work, and we can actually see what everything means and how we can help the client or find out more information that we probably wouldn't have found out before. So now clients, we've got clients for all the way from Ireland all the way down to the Isle of Wight. They no longer need to come in to our office to see us. We can do everything online, and we're able to kind of get a lot more work done, and it's a lot more efficient for them, and we're in contact with each other a lot more. During this time, our efforts haven't gone unnoticed. We have been nominated for a few awards. We've been featured in the Parliamentary Review for 2017-18 in the financial services sector, for showcasing best practice within our sector and our field for the ways that we have been working and making these changes. The British Accountancy Awards, we were also nominated top 6 in Greater London for Independent Firm of the Year. And I myself have also been nominated for top 50 Women in Accounting, and also for 3 awards with the Women in Accounting and Finance 2020. Now, I think something that is at the forefront of everyone's minds right now, no matter where we go, all we hear about is coronavirus. Obviously, we're in our 3rd quarter now. Who thought we'd be here nearly a year later? But this is something that we're having to live with, and for at least the foreseeable future. We don't know how much longer this is going to last, but obviously we're in a national lockdown again, our 3rd one, and all businesses or non-essential businesses have had to close. Now, this has meant that businesses are not generating any income again, and they haven't been for most of the year, and businesses have been forced to close in England, Scotland, Northern Ireland and Wales. And they have said that this is due to be reviewed after the February half term, but I don't foresee that anything will happen probably until early March or well into March before we start to see any restrictions lifted. So businesses during this time, and I've been on the show a few other times and I've said that businesses during these times of lockdown need to use this time as an opportunity to plan and review their businesses and see how they can change certain aspects or possibly even produce new sales or service lines in light of COVID and these new ways of working. And then once we do go back to normal, then the idea is you can either have a new service line and generate more income, or at least you have that ability to work in a different way and to be flexible. So whether we go back to working as usual or whether we're in further lockdown again, you should be okay. Some businesses have done this really well, and they've taken their businesses online and used this time to really change the way that they're working, whereas some businesses are not being sure how to do this. And those that have been able to survive are those that have had good cash flow management, whether they had good cash flow management at the start, or some have really tightened their belts and tried to save as much as possible in their businesses and only kind of have expenses that are mandatory and they cannot work around, in order to just keep them going that little bit longer, to hopefully see them through the end of this pandemic, shall we say, or lockdown. So looking forward, I think all businesses really need to do, as I said, a planning review. Don't make hasty decisions, and look at the challenges you face and see what options are available to you. Recently, there has been a huge spike in voluntary liquidations. I think people have just come to the realization that they feel that they can't do anymore, but that's more of a last resort. I think you need to look at what you can do before essentially giving up. If you've managed to retain profits in your business, or fat on the bone, shall we say, these should hopefully try to see you through some loss-making periods like right now during the national lockdown, if you're unable to do work at all. But how long these reserves last depends on how effectively you manage the process. So there are a few options available. You need to figure out what your short-term prospects for trading are likely to be, and then quantify the minimum level of cost that you will need to carry on in order to meet, for example, fixed commitments like rent, or other variable costs to deliver any future trade. One thing I would also encourage you to do with certain fixed costs like rent, there are a lot of landlords that have been quite understanding. Some have maybe either given some payment holidays, some have said pay me half of my rent now, and once we get back to normal, pay the balance later on once you've started trading. But a lot of people have been too scared to approach their landlords, for example, but a quick conversation could make a huge difference. If the calculations that you have done reveal that you'll be trading at a loss for an extended period, then the only way that your business can really survive is if you have retained profits or personal capital reserves. But you need to consider, do you have enough capital to be paying your own personal expenses as well? And if your reserves have been exhausted, then you have another option of looking at borrowing. So government bounce back loans, for example, to fund the excess losses. And the bounce back loan, as many may know, it has been extended now, so you still have time to get it. Or if you didn't get as much in the first time round, you can top it up to the maximum of 25% of your turnover. A lot of people didn't get the full amount that was available to them because they didn't think they would need it. But now maybe it's time to revisit and see whether it is time to top that up. So during this third national lockdown, we have a support package announced, which is the top up of the grant for retail and hospitality and leisure businesses. It's supposed to help around 600,000 businesses with giving them a one-off grant, and this will be linked to your business rates. So those with small business rates with a value of between 15 to below 15,000 will get £4,000. Medium-sized businesses with rateable values between 15 and 51,000 will get £6,000 grant, and large businesses with rateable values over 51,000 will get £9,000. Now this is a grant, so please remember you don't need to pay this back. I've had a lot of questions of when do I pay this back? You don't. It's a grant. It's yours to keep. It's there to help you out with rent or any other expenses that you may have. There has also been a top-up of the discretionary grants of 594 million. So anybody who has lost out on all the other grants because they don't have business rates, maybe your business rates is included in your rent, so you don't have an account with your local authority, you can go for the discretionary grants, but obviously it's up to the local authority. But you need to apply through their website, and they'll make a decision based on the information you give them on how much they're going to allocate to you. But it's definitely something to look into. A recap of other measures, obviously the furlough scheme has been extended with 80% of gross staff wages being covered. And also, as I mentioned, the bounce back loan, but also the CBILS loans have been extended till the 31st of March. During this, obviously, we've also had Brexit to deal with. The deal was reached kind of really late, but I think the two most, or the few relevant things that we need to highlight is that there have been no tariffs or quotas on the movement of goods that we produce between the UK and EU, and covers some 660 billion pounds of trade. It also includes provisions to support trade in services, including financial services and legal services, and helps to support the mobility of UK professionals. So I'm going to have to start taking some questions now. We have a question from File from Instagram. It says, how do you maintain a work-life balance in lockdown working from home? This is a really good question. It is really difficult because working from home, you don't kind of know when you end up starting or finishing, because at least when you're in the office, you know when you've left the house, that's when work starts, and you know when you've left the office, you're done for the day. But I think it's really important to just set yourself similar goals. What I do, I know that I've got to be up at a certain time. I'm going to work. I may have an hour break at lunchtime, go for a walk just to clear my head because we're stuck inside, so we need some fresh air. And then I'll know that by a certain time, I close my laptop, I'm done for the day, so that I try to keep myself in a similar routine. It's difficult because when you have your laptop there, you're really kind of tempted to just open it and have a quick look, but I think it's practicing that self-control and saying, no, it's 5, 6 o'clock, whatever the time will be, I'm done for the day. I've got to have some time to relax, because if you're working non-stop, you're not going to be a great help to your clients or customers as well. We have a question from Leslie from Instagram, who says, what is the eligibility criteria for claiming the new £9,000 grant? So the top up, the grant for the hospitality sector, you have to have an account obviously with your local authority. Again, you're going to have to prove that you've had to close down, which should be pretty easy, so we're all in a national lockdown now. Other than that, there's not much else to it. You've just got to fill out an online form. Obviously, you have to click to say, yep, you've been affected by coronavirus, and provide your bank details and everything else. Other than that, there's not much else that you need to provide, because the council or local authority will have your details already. We have a question from Kylie from Twitter, who says, hi Eriona, with sales into the EU, do you know what the VAT treatment is now? There is nothing on the Gov website which seems to answer the question with clarity. I would say, because everything was introduced at such a last minute, I would say continue with what you're doing, how you're working currently. As we hear more about the deal, obviously there is a huge document, but it's going to take time for firms and businesses all out there to understand any changes that have been made. Carry on with the way that you're working, and if there are any slight changes, there won't be huge changes, if any at all, but they will be able to be amended on later VAT returns, and you have a more than reasonable excuse. They did say beforehand anyway that they will be giving kind of 6 months leeway for everybody to get used to this. So that is something that you will be able to use as a reasonable excuse if there are any mistakes on your VAT return. We have a question from Nelly from Twitter, who says, good morning. I have an employee who has a pay rise due this month owing to age according to national minimum wage. How will it affect his furlough payment calculations? Okay, when due to the fact that you have to increase national minimum wage, you can't pay anybody under the national minimum wage, even if they're on furlough. So you will have to increase it slightly, and same with the furlough calculation. It won't be too much of a difference anyway, but if you did get any questions from HMRC, them contacting you to say, why is there a difference? you have that explanation to say what it is, because his age has increased, so national minimum wage must increase. So you want to watch out for national minimum wage. You don't want to be caught out by them. So this is something that you'll have to do, and you'll be able to prove it. So there are no issues there. We have a question from Pamela from Facebook, who says, I have a question related to filing my self-assessment for the bank interest section. How do you know what is taxed and untaxed? Okay, bank interest usually is paid to you after tax anyway. So when you enter it, it will need to be shown as that it has been taxed at source already. It's a great reminder, a great question. Everyone, tax returns due by 31st of January, please do make sure that you get yours submitted, otherwise you will get a £100 penalty. There have been a lot of associations, especially all the accounting associations, grouped together to try and ask for the extension in light of what's happened to the 31st of January, and HMRC have said no, they won't be giving the extension. However, they're going to give extended periods for appealing, and obviously coronavirus will be accepted as an excuse, which kind of is a bit strange, because it just means there'll be more admin work involved for those who are unable to submit. But at least if you can submit payment, you can try and set up a payment plan at least after this. So please do try and get that in ASAP. We have a question from Oscar from Facebook Messenger, who says, what happens to existing furlough scheme? Will it change? So currently the scheme is full 80% of your employee's salary, gross salary. You can also work using the flexible furlough as well. So if some businesses are able to open, maybe not 100% of the time, maybe 50% of the time, then you can do this. So you can pay your employee for the hours that they are working, and for the hours they're not working, you can still claim 80% of those from the government. Just make sure, please, you keep your calculations, because we are seeing now HMRC is actively contacting businesses to say, we want to see how you work this out, and they've started their investigations. We expected this. We didn't expect that it was going to start during the pandemic. We thought it would be after everything has died down or gone back to normal slightly, but no, they've started already. So we are seeing they do want a lot of information, dates when the employee started furlough, when they ended, how the hours were worked out, how this compares to the usual hours they do. So please, please, please do keep your records. We have a question from Shahab, says, how do you motivate yourself to work from home? So this is a question that I was actually speaking to someone about recently. It is really difficult to motivate yourself, for working, during working from home. However, one thing that I've found is we've set up WhatsApp groups with other people in the same kind of business sectors. So I've got quite a few groups with other accountants, and for us during this period, it has been really, really stressful and so busy with the extra workload, with furlough, keeping up to date with all the changes. So one of the ways is, we've been texting each other, checking in every day, how's everyone doing? If anyone has any questions, we've got each other to support. And just generally, if you're feeling down, questions of like, is anybody else feeling down or feeling demotivated? And we really help each other out, send each other articles. So it's just keeping contact, I think, with other people in order to ensure that you're able to carry on working. And we don't know how much longer this is going to be, but just have contact, outside contact to other human beings, even if it's a phone call, even if it's a text. That I think is what has helped me and the other group of accountants that I've been working with, but it should be exactly the same in every other industry. We have a question from Marvin from Twitter, who says, hey, will the £9,000 grant be a one-time payment? Have they announced how much time it will take for approval after application? So yes, this will be a one-time payment. I suspect that this will be exactly the same process and method as other grants that they handed out previously. I don't know whether you've taken the previous grants or not, but generally they were quite fast. Some had their money within within a week, some a couple of weeks, and some within a few days. So it shouldn't take too long, because they are trying to roll this out as soon as possible to help and reach as many businesses as possible. So I would say possibly 2 weeks max, but obviously that depends on different councils. Some maybe have got more businesses to help out. Some may be more efficient, some may take some more time, but generally it shouldn't take too long. We have a question from Bartholomew from Facebook, who says, Eriona, I have 2 limited companies. I am the only employee on the PAYE of both companies. Can I furlough myself with both businesses whilst currently working for a new employer? Okay, so technically under the furlough scheme, they have said that you can furlough yourself if you are on multiple payrolls, you have multiple jobs. You can furlough yourself on all of those jobs that have had to furlough you. So if those 2 limited companies you have are not working at the moment, then yes, you can furlough yourself on both of them and work for a new employer at the same time. So you're one of the lucky ones to have been able to get kind of the most out of the furlough, but yes, you can do. We have a question from Shawcat from Facebook, who says, what are some specific tips you would give businesses during this time in dealing with ever-changing COVID guidelines? So as I mentioned before, during the last year, well, last 9 months coming up to a year, businesses should really have used this time to review their business and plan new ways of working. If you were able to do that for the first few months, then hopefully that should have made a difference. In terms of keeping up with the guidelines, obviously there's a lot of information available on social media now, but your accountant hopefully has been keeping you up to date with these. I know us as a firm, as soon as anything comes out, we update it on our website under the news section. We also have an app, which as soon as information is released, that goes on our app directly for our clients. And we've also been emailing our clients as and when new information is released as well. But again, your accountant will be there on hand to help you with this. A quick phone call, although they may be quite kind of busy right now, but they should be able to help you out with all of this. Otherwise, social media, on Twitter, LinkedIn, I don't know if you use it much, but there's a lot of information available out there as well, with many businesses updating that regularly. We have a question from Simon Ellis from Facebook, who says, hi, quick question on VAT. If I produce a product that is 0 VAT, should it be listed as exempt or 0? I ask because if 0, it shows up as not included when I run a smart report. So this should be added as 0. I don't know why it's not showing up. There have been some issues with some reports being produced recently, but I don't know if you, obviously QuickBooks support have been great during this time, but also your accountant should be able to help you out with that in the report. It may be certain report settings which you need to change, but definitely get in contact with them. They should be able to help you out. Unfortunately, I've got a last question now from Cara from Twitter, who says, can we change the business address for a sole trader after registering with HMRC? If yes, how can I do this? Yes, of course. If you have a Gov account, log into your Gov account and you'll be able to change your address that way. If you have an accountant, they can do this for you, but it is really simple. Or you can call HMRC, but you may be waiting for a while. So I would say the best way is just to log into your Gov account. If you don't have one, create one, please, because it will be really useful for you. And under your details, you'll be able to change the address. They'll ask for the date that you moved out or moved into the new address, and everything will update straight away. So it really doesn't take long at all. Okay, so unfortunately, I'm unable to take any more questions, but the poll results are in. We asked you, are you optimistic about your business growth in 2021? 50% of you answered yes and 50% answered no. So I think businesses that have been able to pivot and change the way they're working, they do have a lot of optimism going forward, because now they have two ways of working. And when we do come out of this pandemic, they've got a whole new service line of being able to work online, possibly. For those businesses that have said no, I understand that right now everybody is feeling down and you just don't see an end coming anytime soon. But please do try and see how you can adapt your business in order to give you that growth, because this is a great opportunity for you to really sit back and see how you can make a difference. So thank you to everyone for tuning in this morning. If you have any questions, then please do get in touch with myself via all of our social media channels, on Twitter, on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram as well. You can contact me directly as well through our website by filling in a contact form. And if you have any kind of queries you need to keep up to date, please do go on our website under the news section. We update things regularly on there, and there's some great information available at the moment. And also down through our app as well, which you can download on our website, gives you great up-to-date information as it is released. So coming up on Ask the Expert tomorrow is Nana Parry, who will be able to talk to you about how to better engage with your customers. Nana is the founder of Tectonic, which specializes in customer discovery, customer validation, and customer insights processes. So do tune in to learn how to understand who your customers are and techniques to understand what they are feeling at this time. A reminder that if you need any more advice, do join the official Intuit QuickBooks SMB community group on Facebook, where accountants and business experts are on hand to help you out 24/7. Thank you so much, and I hope you will have an amazing day.